just wanted for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday. At least I got that right. And it's the 23rd, so happy 23rd. Well, we've got a lot of news and a lot of headlines, a lot of true crime, and some stories that'll make you wonder if we're in the end times. So it's basically a normal day if you could ever have a normal day in the year of our clown, 2025. Our first, true crime subject / headline is that, Mr. P. Diddy, or Sean Combs, or Mr. Baby Oil himself, is requesting a 14-month sentence and citing serious substance abuse issues. Okay, I don't understand how, smoking the devil's lettuce could make you forget that you were dealing with smonstitution, but okay, I'm willing to listen to this. Sean Combs made a plea for fairness ahead of his October 3rd sentencing, arguing in a new brief that he deserves no more than 14 months in prison for his 2 felony convictions of transportation to engage in smonstitution. In the 182-page sentencing memo submitted Monday shortly before the midnight deadline, 182 pages to explain that you shouldn't be held accountable for anything? Okie dokie. Combs' lawyers laid out his life story in an apparent bid for mercy, saying that Combs struggled as a child after his father lost his life when he was only 3 years old. They argued that the loss caused profound forms of trauma that set the stage for substance abuse issues that Combs has wrestled with during his admittedly violent relationships with 2 ex-girlfriends involved in his conviction. Again, as I have always said, no, do I want any child to have a bad, childhood? No. But whatever happened to you in your past does not give you license to go be a dickhead. So I'm sorry that you had a profound loss as a child, but that doesn't give you a right to lay hands on people, to extort people, and to be a giant douche canoe. It just never does. For decades, Mr. Combs struggled with some serious substance abuse issues, anger and anxiety, and other flaws that he did not properly or professionally address until his incarceration last year. The filing obtained by Rolling Stone stated, like every addict, his behavior while on painkillers was erratic and unpredictable, and often the reason behind his, laying hands discussed in trial. His lawyers also attached more than 75 letters of support from family and friends, including Combs' mother, Janice, his sister, Keisha, and his 3 teen daughters, and then Dana Tran, the mother of Combs' 2-year-old daughter, Love. Now, he was convicted of 2 felony counts on June 2nd after a 9-week trial. Jurors rejected a trio of more serious charges, finding that prosecutors failed to prove that Combs ran a racketeering conspiracy or trafficked 2 former girlfriends. Now, those acquittals mean that Combs is no longer facing the possibility of life in prison. At the time, the mogul pumped his fist and dropped to his knees in celebration in the courtroom. Now, the two prostitution charges, violations of a century-old law known as the Mann Act, each carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in federal prison. Now, for their part, prosecutors previously estimated that Combs's sentencing guidelines would range around 4 to 5 years behind bars. Their formal recommendation could be much higher when they filed their separate sentencing brief due September 29th. Now, Combs has served more than a year in custody and argued in his filing that a review of more than 60 other Mann Act cases have determined that the average sentence was, 14.9 months of incarceration. Now, Combs and his lawyers claimed it would be unlawful and a perversion of justice if the court increases the sentence beyond 14 months based on the court's own findings about force or coercion or racketeering. Now, federal judges are not required to follow guidelines. In the Southern District of New York, judges stick to the guideline range 34% of the time in the last fiscal year. So it looks like Judge Aaron Submarian will have wide latitude on the October 3rd sentencing, and it's not clear how he'll rule. Well, again, he doesn't have the state's recommendation. He only has this motion from, the defense. So it is going to take him some time. Now, that being said, I did not follow up with the Combs case. It wasn't streamed because most New York cases aren't streamed, but also it was a federal case and those are not streamed to the public. That being said, I don't know how I feel about this one. I just know that I never want to buy baby oil again. Not that I bought it once. Again, if you were a dumb young 20-something-year-old who happened to be married to someone who was, honest to God, he could tan like he was Greek, and he would go out in baby oil, and then your pale, ridiculous behind tries to do that one time and ends up as a fried lobster with, sun poisoning. I haven't bought baby oil since. Never have, never will. I'm on a long streak. Just not going to do that. Also, word to the wise, if you are paler than, a New England White House, do not use baby oil as anything. No, it's a bad idea. It will not end well for you. Now, this is a case that is developing, and there are a lot of different stories. There's a lot of speculation going on right now, but this is what has been at least confirmed. Police are following several leads in connection with a missing teen girl that was found dead in Singer. Is it D4DVD? Look, I don't know who this rapper is, not my genre. That being said, I have literally no idea who this person is, but I know there's been a lot of kind of scuttlebutts about the internet, like why hasn't he been charged? Why hasn't he been arrested? And the truth is that to get arrested, those of you who watch trials and things like that, a judge has to be able to sign a probable cause, affidavit. And it's just, you need evidence. Now, authorities are continuing their investigation into D4VD. No idea. David 4? Who knows? Not my jams, to be honest. As several leads into and new evidence have emerged in a connection with the death of a teenage girl who was found deceased in the 20-year-old singer's car. Now, in a statement to People on Thursday, September 18th, a spokesperson for the Los Angeles Police Department said that detectives from Robbery Homicide Division had served a search warrant to a local address in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And this beautiful girl deserved a life that didn't end in the back of a car. So we need to have patience. We need to let the police do their job. So whomever is found to be responsible for this, gets justice. Now, Rivas, 15, was the juvenile who was reported missing from Lake Elsinore, the Riverside County Sheriff's Office previously told NBC News. She was found on September 8th in a Tesla that was registered to the rapper, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. Now, the LAPD investigated the impounded vehicle after someone complained of a foul odor. Several items of evidence were recovered and will be analyzed by detectives in the coming day, a LAPD spokesperson told media. Investigators are following up on several leads. Now, Hernandez was first reported missing on April 5th, 2024. So she has been missing for a long time. I'm sure this family never wanted this heartbreaking news. Authorities have not disclosed further information about Rivas or if she had any connection to David, who started out as a YouTube creator before he rose to fame as a musician. One of his most notable songs was a 2022 single titled Romantic Homicide. And these are some of the lyrics. This is going to be just like when I read WAP, isn't it? In the back of my mind, woo-oh, you died, woo-oh, and I didn't even cry, woo-oh. No, not a single tear. I'm sick of patiently waiting, oh, for someone that won't even arrive. This is drivel and terrible, he sings in the song. He later adds, in the back of my mind, I red-rummed you. I can't say that word. And I didn't even regret it. Can't believe I said it, but it's true. Do I love you? No, I hate you. Well, in that special, he is the Bob Dylan of our time. Or not. He's just a dingus who wrote his, his red rummy thoughts like he was, writing The Shining. Now, David has explained the meetings behind the lyrics in an on-camera interview with Genius, explaining that it was a storytelling aspect that was inspired by the lyrics that came before the hook. Also, what in the Murphy Brown is this outfit? It builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. I didn't, red rum her physically, but in my mind, she is no longer here. I've seen people online take different meanings and different interpretations from that one part of the song where it's like it's their past selves that are dying and they're not even crying because they were evolving into better people or have, conquered addictions or different stuff like that. Now, David was in the midst of his Withered World Tour in North America when Hernandez's body was found. He has not yet publicly commented on the situation, but his representatives told NBC Los Angeles that his client was fully cooperating with authorities. Now, after Rivas' body was found, her family broke their silence, launching a GoFundMe titled Help Lay Celeste Rivas Hernandez to Rest on September 18th. As many of you know, Celeste has been identified as the body found last week. The organizers wrote, she was a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend. Her family is heartbroken and devastated by this tragic loss. They are seeking help to lay her body to rest. Any funds you would be able to donate are greatly appreciated. Again, look, we might all have our different speculations, but the justice system we co-sign to, the justice system, imperfect as it is, requires that the police do a thorough investigation because eventually someone could lose their freedom from this and we want to have the right person. That being said, I'm sure it is torture for the family to have to learn about this and then learn about, have to wait for justice because it doesn't come fast. It doesn't come quick. It usually takes a long time. Tragic news in Florida, we've got Universal Orlando head says roller coaster equipment was intact in an emotional staff memo after epic Universal death. Now, this one was one that I was kind of waiting to see if they were going to offer any kind of insight into what had happened. Universal Orlando's president and COO sent an emotional memo to staff over the weekend, indicating that Universal Epic Universe's Stardust Racer roller coaster ride system functioned as intended amid an investigation into a rider's death on the new attraction. After 32-year-old Kevin Rodriguez Zavia died Wednesday due to multiple blunt impact injuries after becoming unresponsive on the dual-launched dueling track roller coaster, Resort boss Karen Irwin sent an internal correspondence to team members confirming that the ride systems had functioned as intended and that the equipment was intact at the ride start, but throughout the duration of the ride and upon the vehicle's return to the station, the team members followed the procedures during the incident. Now, Irwin told staffers that a few moments have been as difficult as this one across her 35-year tenure with the company, and praised Universal team members for their resilience, compassion, and professionalism during the incident and its, investigation. The attraction remains closed as we continue to work with a comprehensive review process in cooperation with the ride's manufacturer of record. Referencing Mack, it's a German manufacturer that had worked on the Stardust racers. Safety is and always will be at the forefront of everything we do. So this, I am surprised, I would not be surprised if we see a wrongful death lawsuit and further oncoming legal issues. Again, this is not new. There have been some deaths on ride. Everyone remembers Fabio when he took a bird to the face, but he was still smexy on them bodice rippers my grandma kept. Still, I say no to historical romances. There would be no deodorant, no air conditioning, and no indoor plumbing. There would be no romance. Not whatsoever with Mo. Now, in semi-political news, but it will be more true crime geared, at least here, ABC station shooting suspect had a note criticizing the FBI and AG Pam Bondi, prosecutors say. Now, if you have been living under a rock, you missed the whole Jimmy Kimmel's, death and rebirth back onto cable. But some people were very, very upset. And someone was so upset that they went to a local CBS or ABC affiliate office and decided to release some freedom seeds because they were so scared and mad. Again, Jimmy Kimmel comes back to continue killing late night comedy, the most unfunny late night comedy of a generation. A man accused of shooting an ABC affiliate office in Northern California left handwritten notes that criticized the current administration and a calendar reminder to do the next scary thing, prosecutors said on September 22nd. Anibal Hernandez Santana, 64, of Sacramento, California, was formally charged with possessing a firearm within a school zone, discharging said firearm within a school zone, and interfering with radio communications, according to a U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of California. He made his first appearance in federal court on September 22nd. Now, prosecutors accuse Hernandez Santana of firing multiple freedom seeds towards and into ABC 10 station near downtown Sacramento on September 19th. While an employee inside the office, or was inside the office at the time of the shooting, thank goodness no one was injured during the incident. Now, the suspect was initially arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon, shooting into an occupied building, and negligent discharge of a firearm, according to the police department in Sacramento. Now, he was released on September 20th after posting bail, but prosecutors said that the FBI rearrested Hernandez Santana hours later. Now, federal charges can carry maximum penalties of up to 6 years in prison and a $260,000 fine, according to U.S. Attorney's Office. The Sacramento District Attorney's Office confirmed to USA Today on September 22nd that it was filing state charges against Hernandez Santana, which carry a more serious penalty of up to 17 years in prison. When someone brazenly fires into a news station full of people, okay, one person, but I get the point, I get this, but it wasn't full of people. Let's stick with the facts. It's dangerous with one person or 20 person or people, but it's not only an attack on innocent employees, but it's an attack on news media and our community's sense of safety. District Attorney Thean Ho said in a statement, "My office will prosecute this case to ensure full accountability and send a clear message. Violence, intimidation, and attacks on free speech have no place in our community or society at large." I broadly agree. So this man is not only looking at state but federal charges. And it will be interesting to see going forward how those two mesh. We've seen several cases where there have been both state and federal charges. Of note, think Derek Chauvin. So it it is scary. I mean, I made the push to go ahead and, make a business email, and not to make anything about me, but I think the last couple weeks have definitely reminded those of us who are even teeny tiny itty bitty creators that it only takes one crazy person. So there's been kind of a lot of soul searching, what am I sharing out with you guys? I'm glad that and y'all, I love you. Don't take this the wrong way, but I will probably never tell you my kiddos' names except for the youngest most feral if I yell at him and forget to mute the mic. They didn't sign up to be on this journey with me in the public. And even more so now, I don't want them to have to deal with any burdens that me, being ridiculous on the internet, for even my milquetoast opinions could cause. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Now, someone is a very lucky someone today, and they're from Missouri, which normally I wouldn't say. I've only been to Missouri once, so I probably didn't see all the fun sights. But it looks like Missouri has recorded a Powerball jackpot winner as they claim the prize. They said, I'm just going to do me for a year, which honestly, if I won like a gajillion dollars, I'd just do me for a year. I'd probably get an editor and an assistant. No lie. I need an assistant like a lot. Missouri Powerball player who won a record jackpot has claimed the prize. Now, the Missouri Lottery didn't release the winner's name. Oh, I thought this was the big giant jackpot. I guess this was the local Missouri one. So I apologize for that. I guess the big federal jackpotty thing is still out there, possibly. I don't ever play the lottery. I don't know about any one of you guys, but I have very weird social anxiety. So if you would like to put me through a cardiac stress test, don't put me on a treadmill. Send me to a local gas station that is full and busy and have me make an order for a lotto scratcher. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to take up time. I don't want any of that stuff. So if you need to give me a cardiac test, that is just where I draw the line. I don't play the lottery, so I probably won't ever win it. As he was asked what he plans to do now that he is a multimillionaire, the winner said, I'm going to just do me for a year. He went on to explain that he is a homebody, hashtag Inside Cat Lives Matter, who's looking forward to spending time with his wife and relaxing. He added with a laugh that his wife was going to drag me out of town now. Now, the Missouri lottery player won half of $1.787 billion on September 6th. I mean, yeah, definitely would. Honestly, I would go directly to a financial planner because, look, I know if it were me, I'd book the first plane to Japan and I'd be in the Sailor Moon store if I were given to my, predilection. So I need someone smarter who's more planny than me. In an update that hasn't been fully confirmed, but looks like we might get answers on a case that we've been covering for a long time. It does look like Washington authorities may have possibly found the remains of Travis Decker, the human monster dad who took the lives of his three girls after, after the court was warned repeatedly that he was having a mental health crisis, not stable, and yet continued to push the girls to go be with him in his instability. Now, authorities in Washington state are revealing more details regarding the discovery of Travis Decker's likely remains. Now, I do want you guys to pay attention because while everyone is kind of running with the fact that this is Travis Decker, it's still possible. They haven't probably gotten the DNA test back. They haven't clearly identified. So while this is possible good news, while we might possibly have answers, we might also be back at square one. This might be someone completely unrelated. Now, that's not likely. I mean, in all likelihood, we've probably found him. But again, just to keep it on the level, it does seem like this is the father. Now, DNA tests are pending and on their way. Travis Decker, the man wanted for the taking of the lives of his 3 daughters in Leavenworth, has been missing for over 3 months. However, on September 18th, law enforcement agencies confirmed that they found what is believed to be Decker's remains. Now, the search focused near Rock Island Campground, which is where the bodies of his little girls were found. And there was absolutely no evidence pointing anywhere but to Travis as for the taking of his children's lives. Now, they were able to find this during expanded grid searches using drones and a canine unit to comb through the surrounding areas of the original crime scene. Now, a dive team recovered a key fob from Icicle Creek, which is consistent with a key fob belonging to Decker's truck. Now, following this evidence discovery, a search team from U.S. Border Patrol and the U.S. Marshal Service located clothing and skeletal remains believed to be that of Travis on September 18th around 2 p.m. Now, a pair of shorts, a shirt, a bracelet, and chewing tobacco were discovered and recovered from the scene and are consistent with items that belong to Decker. The Chelan County's Sheriff's Office said. Now, they were located near Grindstone Mountain, which is less than a mile away from the original crime scene. Several bones were collected and sent to Washington State Crime Lab for DNA testing, and authorities are still waiting for confirmation that the remains belong to Decker. Now, Decker is wanted until it's confirmed that he is deceased. He will still be remained as wanted, or still remain classified as wanted. These are the little girls that this man took away from this earth. And again, I see my kiddos in this. I see my little girls. I have 3 girls and then 3 boys. I am the Carol Brady that curses. That being said, I also don't have a gay husband. But honest to goodness, and y'all shame the devil, but I swear to goodness, if I were Carol Brady, because what the hell did that woman do all day? All her kids were in school. She had a maid with an in with the butcher. Like Alice had a hookup with the butcher. I'd deal with a gay husband for that. Like full days where I can just sit and do jack crap nothing and my house is getting cleaned. I get a deal on, meat. I would deal with a gay husband. I really would. Like we would watch Say Yes to the Dress all together. Like we would just do that. We would watch Project Runway, Say Yes to the Dress, and I'd have a boyfriend on the side. But honestly, I would not be complaining. That being said, probably not the most appropriate thoughts, but I have thought that because I'm like, what the hell did Alice or did Carol do? Because nothing. And I'm okay with that. I will wear a mullet. Like whatever I have to do to get this job, I will do it. That being said, and on a more serious note, if you're of a prayerful variety, if you put positive things out into the universe, however you choose to, keep the mother of these little girls in your hearts and prayers. I can't imagine in one foul swoop losing my entire future. And that's what's happened. Because from the moment that stick, does double lines, you start thinking about, Halloweens and birthday parties and, eventually them meeting the love of their lives and, being happy and who they're going to turn into. And all of that has been taken away from her. And so publicly and with no answers. And all while she was crying out that this man was not safe for her children and the courts would not listen to her. So, 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 9-year-old Peyton, may you rest in peace, angels. And, we will try to keep your spirits alive. Look at these beautiful smiles, these beautiful, beautiful smiles. This one really got to me, you guys, because I could just see my girls in these girls, and I can't imagine what this mom is going through right now. Well, now I have not dug into this, so before you go, Mo's turned into Alex Jones, I have not even researched this. This is a headline. I have not researched into this. I'm just giving you the headline, okay? That being said, I will probably do some more research into this, but as of right now, I don't have a hot take other than this is what's being said. Now, Trump and RFK Jr. have linked autism to Tylenol, and doctors are pushing back. Now, again, with all the stipulations that I have no idea what's going on here. Okay. In a long anticipated announcement, President Donald Trump and his top healthcare aide have urged pregnant women not to take Tylenol unless it's absolutely necessary, and announced an array of efforts aimed to understanding autism spectrum disorder. Now, again, I don't know the very big links here. I haven't looked at the medical documentation. It does look like some doctors are speaking out about this. Officials also outlined a new potential treatment for autism that's not widely accepted within the medical community. Now, I have a little bit to say about this. Look, as someone who has something that is not understood by the medical community, we need to start investing in research, and not stupid research. Not, if a hamster can run on a treadmill or if squirrels react to global warming, which is all fun and games, but let's actually take care of some issues. Now I know it's my ballywick, but let's find some actual chronic pain, treatments that do not involve narcotics and don't rob you of your daily lives. Let's look at more adaptions. Let's look at more early interventions for autism. I will say that I have a nephew who his mother has worked doggone tirelessly to help him and support him on his journey with his autism. And the last time I saw him, he gave me a hug. Now, this young man has rarely ever made eye contact with me, will kind of talk at me, which is totally normal, and I want him to be comfortable with me. But he actually, when I was leaving, came up and said, "Hey, I'm glad you came." And I nearly burst into tears, which is not uncommon here lately. Thank you, Perry Monroe. But it was so wonderful. And just autism is just basically understanding another person's comfort level and not pushing them, understanding that they process things differently. So I hope that there will be more early interventions. I hope that there will be more studies going forward so we can help parents, help families, help these children who are getting diagnosed better interact with the world. Because I think a lot of these sort of issues and the mysteries come because it's not something we talk about a lot, or it's not something that we've noticed a lot. And yes, the spectrum, the definition has expanded a bit, but it's also, if we know about something, we can make interventions, we can look at it and possibly do something better. That being said, talk to your doctor if you're pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant. Ask them their take on Tylenol. Do your own research. I'm not your doctor. I'm not your mama, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. But, do what you're comfortable with. This show is never about telling you what to think, just giving you some information, and you make your own choices. Well, Now for the stories that make you question if we are in fact in the end times or make you wish we were in fact in the end times. You know, half of one, six of the other. But yeah, I mean, for the stories that make you wonder if those rapture memes are really true, here we go.
G-Keep Grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
All right, well, it's bad news for Fergie. I have already admitted to y'all that I am addicted to UK news. Now, really have no part in it as I am fully American. Although, if y'all could import sausage rolls over here, because those things are the bomb. Also, Bakewell tarts. I'm going to need some Bamberg logs and basically just all your candies. Send me all of your snack food, all of your terrible food, because I could eat all of it. And fish and chips with malt vinegar. Now, let me tell you a secret. Now, I love vinegar. Mr. Mo hates vinegar. So if I want to ensure that I get my fish and chips all to my own self, I douse the living hell out of it in vinegar. Love it. That being said, it might be the only thing that I don't generally share with Mr. Mo because he doesn't like the vinegar. Love him. Love it. Malt vinegar on chicken fingers, the best thing ever. If you like vinegar, I love vinegar, so not sure where that goes with Fergie other than, wow, she has not aged gracefully, has she? I mean, she is married to, or she was married to Andrew though, so. Ugh. Now, Fergie is in a bit, Sarah Ferguson, I'm sorry, I'm a, just disrespectful colonist over here. But when you start, having a pen pal letter date ship with Jeffrey Epstein, I kind of get to call you Fergie, okay? Now, 7 charities have dropped the Duchess of York as a patron or ambassador after an email from 2011 revealed that she called Jeffrey Epstein her supreme friend and seemed to apologize for her public criticism of him. Julia House, a children's hospice, was first to remove Sarah Ferguson, saying it was inappropriate for her to continue in the role. The Teenage Cancer Trust, Natasha Allergy Research Foundation, Children's Literacy Charity, and the National Foundation for Retired Service Animals and Prevent Breast Cancer also announced that they had dropped the Duchess as a patron. Now, the British Heart Foundation said that she would no longer be an ambassador. A spokesperson for the Duchess said that she was not commenting on the charity's decisions to end their links with her. This comes after the Mail on Sunday and the Sun newspapers published a 2011 email from the Duchess to Epstein, which appears to have been sent after she had publicly claimed to have broken off contact with him. Yeah, the internet remembers. All of this could be subject to FOIA. Don't write anything in an email that you don't want coming out in court. Which reminds me, I gotta delete some stuff. I'm just kidding. But honestly, if you're a public figure, you can't do this. Gone are the times where people did deference to stars, did deference to the monarchy. If you have a scandal, a secret, people want transparency now, not whatever this was. In the email, she appears to have privately apologized for her public rejection of Jeffrey. You've always been a steadfast, generous, and supreme friend to me and my family. Now, that seemed to contradict her public denunciation of Epstein in an interview from a few weeks earlier, in which she had said her involvement with him included borrowing money. Now, because I am addicted to UK TV and news, it does look like there was a substantial amount that Sarah Ferguson borrowed from Epstein. So there looks to be more of this coming out. I am not an expertologist in all of this. I definitely recommend if you are looking for more information about this, there are plenty of royal channels that are going to have the goss, the tea piping hot with all of the names and everything. I don't quite know about all that, but it does look like she and Andrew may no longer be representing anything even pseudo-royal anymore after all of this has blown back. Well, in sad news, if you're really excited about the new Superman, Tom Holland suffered a pretty bad injury on Spider-Man: A Brand New Day set. Peter Parker is not invincible, but he is dating Zendaya. Tom Holland reportedly suffered a concussion on the set of Spider-Man: Brand New Day, forcing Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures to pause filming. Now, according to the Daily Mail, the 29-year-old actor cracked his head after he suffered a fall at Leavesden Studio in Walford, England on Friday. So, yeah, this is definitely something. Concussions, head injuries are no joke. The incident reportedly occurred during a stunt gone wrong. Now, Holland was hospitalized and treated for a mild concussion, while no one else was injured on the set. Let's see, outlets are also reporting that Holland is taking a break from filming for several days. Now, Sony is reportedly meeting Monday to discuss filming plans. The Post reached out to Holland's rep and Sony Pictures for comments. Obviously didn't get any. Now, days after the incident, Holland made a public appearance with, Zendaya at Christie's auction house in London. The British actor hosted a posh pub quiz with the Brothers Trust, a charity he runs with his three brothers. The couple got engaged last year and posed for a picture at Saturday's event. Okie dokie. So, I mean, look, it seems like he's doing fine, but head injuries are nothing to worry about. And it does seem that some parts of Hollywood are not taking stunt coordinators and stunts at all into account as far as the safety of them. There seems to be some cut corners and things like that. There was a large, substantial lawsuit with a stunt woman versus Game of Thrones that is still working its way through. So it does seem like there's not a lot of attention paid to the very real kind of setup and time that needs to be taken to run these spectacles safely. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but let's figure this one out. Local officials have released hundreds of pigs into neighborhoods to fight a poisonous threat. Remember to keep a safe distance. Well, what if you just want free-range bacon? You could not do this in Appalachia. Look, there would be hog roasts all around and absolutely nothing would get done. Hundreds of pigs were released into one of England's largest tracts of undeveloped land on Monday, the BBC can report. The New Forest is situated in southern England, covering an area of nearly 220 square miles. It was established by William the Conqueror in 1079, and as the outlet indicated, some of its ancient traditions are still upheld. Among them is pannage, which is a historic practice, a season, and a legal right afforded to pig owners. Oh my God, I need to get a pig and then name it Babe and then go live in England. And I'll be like, that's a good job, pig. According to the New Forest National Park, a national park established in and near New Forest, anywhere between 200 and 600 pigs are released each year. In the 1800s, the number was as high as 6,000. Now, pannage in the New Forest is a rare example of a type of pre-industrial ecological stewardship that has carried over to modern times. The New Forest Verders, individuals tasked with overseeing the use of the land, initiate pannage season in mid-September due to a heavy acorn crop. Now, the pigs are released to graze on acorns, which are toxic to free-roaming ponies and cattle in the wood throughout the season. They also clear the forest floor of chestnuts and beech mast. The pigs are tagged and fitted with rings in their nose to minimize disruption caused by their rooting behaviors, and each eligible commoner pays a small fee for each pig to graze. The Verders noted that pannage is still an important part of New Forest's ecology. That's kind of cool. And I mean, don't pigs in Spain get fed hazelnuts? So couldn't acorn bacon be really good? I shouldn't bring this back to bacon every time, but I like the idea. Well, I mean, sure, I am not against blowing things up. Scientists said we should blow up this dangerous asteroid before it even gets here. Hey, if it gets nukes off the planet and into the solar system where we won't use them to destroy each other, I'm kind of okay with this entire plan, even if it doesn't work and we have to, Armageddon our way out of here with Steve Buscemi. I'm kind of okay with either plan, really. In 2022, NASA intentionally rammed a spacecraft into a small asteroid at 14,000 miles per hour, knocking it off course. Now, the goal was to demonstrate proof of concept for keeping humanity safe from a space rock heading toward the Earth. Now, a group of scientists, including ones from NASA, are exploring options for a different near-Earth space rock dubbed 24 YR4, which the Agency for Near-Earth Objects believes has a mere 0.00081% chance of hitting us, but a much larger 4% chance of hitting the moon in December 2032. Now, earlier this year, the asteroid made headlines after scientists identified it as having one of the highest chances of hitting the Earth on record. However, as time went on, that probability sank to a tiny fraction of a percent. But even if it only strikes the moon, the result could be dangerous for astronauts in space who could be battered by debris of the resulting collision. Now, in a yet to be peer-reviewed paper, meaning it hasn't been actually, double-checked by other scientists, these scientists argue that our best opinion is to avoid the eventuality altogether and blow it up as part of a kinetic disruptive mission. A notable escalation from NASA's 2022 Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, which saw a spacecraft nudge an asteroid called Dimorphos off of its course by ramming it at high speeds. Now, this time they proposed detonating the space rock using nuclear explosive devices. I mean, again, I'd watch it on pay-per-view and in a telescope, and it would get some of the nukes off the Earth, which I think would be good for all of humanity. I say we come together as Earth, Independence Day the hell out of this, and get all the nukes out of here. I don't know, it's probably pie in the sky, but again, I'm willing to watch a big explosion. Now, researchers have found there isn't enough time to launch a reconnaissance mission first to get a better idea of its mass. They required data for a successful deflection attempt. Now, thanks to James Webb Space Telescope observations, we know that it measures nearly 300 feet in length, but the mass remains notably unknown. Now, the team calculated that its mass could range from anywhere from 72.7 million to a whopping 2 billion pounds, which would make designing a DART-like mission nearly impossible. Now, the best option for a recon mission is late in 2028, which would only leave roughly 3 years to intercept the asteroid. Now, a kinetic robust disruption, basically blowing the hell out of it, could be available, in 2029. Again, now they're proposing to send two 100 kiloton nuclear devices capable of navigating space by themselves to the asteroid, each of which is roughly 5 to 8 times as powerful as the bombs that were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1945. Now, a backup explosive would be kept on board in case it's needed. Did we get enough dynamite? Again, I am willing to answer. I'm willing to watch this. Now, for those of you in the Southwest, I know it is early morning, so you're probably going to be watching this on the replay, but I did want to give you guys a little heads up. This is not fear prawn, but this is definitely something that is growing, and there is enough, hullabaloo about it to at least put out an article. This growing fungal disease outbreak is spreading through dust and dirt. Now, this is more in the Southwest and the West, but it is, in places, it is growing to places that it hasn't been seen before. A lethal fungus has quietly spread in the soil across the West, and now it's threatening areas well beyond the dusty deserts and valleys where it likely originated. Valley fever, a disease caused by, well, a bacteria or a fungus I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce, was once concentrated solely in the American Southwest. But because of changing weather patterns and different things, the disease is thriving in areas once considered too cool and temperate to really allow this to spread. Now, ahead of the disease's peak fall and winter seasons, health authorities are scrambling to raise awareness about easily missed signs and symptoms before it spreads even worse. I'm not sure we can prevent people from getting valley fever, said Christy Mitchie, Assistant Director of Public Health in California's Monterey County, a cool coastal agricultural region that once had just a couple dozen cases a year, but now averages in the hundreds. It's really difficult to avoid dust in our environment, but we really don't want people to get really sick with valley fever. In 2024, nearly 12,500 cases were reported across California, a record high according to state health data. Less than a quarter century ago, the state reported just 1,000 cases. The disease presents growing risks not just to agricultural workers accustomed to tilling soil, but for those who move into new suburban developments or spend the weekend on a golf trip in a region where the fungus is present. So it does look like you've got, the likely areas in the red, and then the shaded areas are where they are seeing cases pop up where they hadn't before. Now, people exposed to the fungus may not even get valley fever, but those who contract the disease can develop symptoms of pneumonia lasting a few weeks and more typically appear 1 to 3 weeks after breathing in the spores. Now, symptoms include rash, cough, shortness of breath, fever, headaches, and fatigues. Now, there are a small number of people who get valley fever. Only 5 to 10% of people exposed to the spores will develop serious or long-term complications to their respiratory system. People with weakened immune system, pregnant women, people with diabetes, and people of African American heritage or Filipino heritage seem to be at a higher risk of developing severe symptoms. Now, about 1% of those infected have the disease spread out to different parts of their body, such as their bones, organs, or brain. So it's not, again, something you have to go out and buy all the toilet paper. You don't have to lock yourself in the house. But be aware that this is something that is out there and moving to new areas. And if you are, immune suppressed or have any complications, pay attention and wash your hands. Don't pick your nose. Like things that are normal. Again, this is not mainstream media, so I'm not trying to terrify you, but I'm going to let you know about new stuff and things that you might not be used to looking at, in your local area. Well, we have just a fantastical crop of douchebags today. Just an absolute cavalcade of criminal crap hats. So let's get into it, because justice is a journey, but Lord Chippy awaits.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
I don't know what the hell is wrong with people. I mean, other than the obvious answer, maybe it's Satan. In fact, obviously it's Satan. But a man is accused of keeping 4 vulnerable adults captive in his basement and stealing their money. You know what? Forget Lord Chippy. If we could send him directly on that mission to destroy the asteroid, I think we found our man. Look, Bruce Willis has done his work. I think we found our technician. He just stays there. A South Carolina man has been accused of holding 4 vulnerable adults captive in his basement for 10 years, stealing their money, and facing a slew of charges, including false imprisonment. Yeah. Now, Ronnie Ray Birchfield Jr., they always have 4 names, don't they? They're always a junior. Makes you think. 35 was arrested August 1st after Lancaster police responded to a home for a report of an unattended death, according to the police incident report. Now, the death had occurred in July, which is why you're calling in August. What in the Schnell? According to the report, which doesn't list the victim's name or age, but described the victim as a vulnerable adult. Now, an attorney for Birchfield did not immediately respond for a request for comment on Monday. Birchfield was charged with 4 counts of exploitation of vulnerable adult, 4 counts of false imprisonment, 2 counts of abuse of a vulnerable adult, 2 counts of DV and financial charges, online jail records show. Now, he is being held on a $150,000 bond. No, make that $1 bajillion. I don't want this man getting out ever. Now, police have said during the investigation, detectives learned that Birchfield was alleged to have cared for several people in his basement and used their funds for his own financial gain. He withheld at least 2 bank cards from adults along with the account number of one of the victims. Authorities allege that he used the money to purchase services for himself. Warrants obtained by the Post and Courier newspaper of Charleston alleged that Birchfield abused the adults, denied them food and medical treatment, and cut them off from the outside world. He's alleged to have controlled when they could eat, use the restroom. He had control of their cell phones. Now, one woman passed away in the basement. It was reported that evidence allegedly showed that the woman, who was being held with her husband, had signs of assault on her. Now, the 2 other adults are alleged to have been in a romantic relationship, a throuple with your okie dokie, with Birchfield. One was alleged to have lived in the home since 2015. So expect more about this case as documents come out. This will be one that we're watching, but it's definitely terrifying to think that there are some people in the world who will use vulnerable people for their own ends. Now, these 2 inglorious butt monkeys, we have followed their case and they have been sentenced. And thank goodness for that. Like I said, justice is a journey. And sometimes, figuratively, we would like it to end with Lord Chippy, but these people will never be getting out. I hope you get what you deserve. Mom and Grandpa, who let a newborn cry for 2 days before discarding him in a ditch along a snowy road, like trash, are headed to prison for a long time. All the times. Like, even I want your bones used in the cement to make the prison better, like in improvements. Like, I'm cool with you staying there forever. An Iowa woman and her father are heading to prison for decades after taking the life and discarding her newborn baby along a snowy road. Megan K. Stout, 28, and Rodney Stout, 67, were both sentenced to a half a century behind bars on Monday. Now, Megan had pled guilty to second-degree murder in July, while her father entered a guilty plea on the same charge Monday. Prosecutor Douglas Eccles said that the baby boy was just discarded in a ditch like trash by the Stodes. He also noted that family members had tried to help the expectant mother, but that fell on deaf ears. The saddest part about this is Megan knew the options that were available to her, Eccles told the court. She knew about safe haven laws, but she didn't take advantage of it, and that's what makes this case senseless. Now, Megan Stoud's attorney claimed that her client became lost after 2018 and the death of her mother, and she didn't have anyone to turn to for help. While her attorney said she accepted responsibility, Stode, in her statement to the judge, heaped blame on her father, saying he's the one who took the life of the baby and discarded him, and she just went along with it. You know, that didn't work in Nuremberg, and it didn't work for you, sweetheart. Now, Eccles read aloud a victim impact statement from the boy's father. "I hope you get what you deserve," the statement said. "I am totally and emotionally broken for what you did to our son who was a baby. Who does that to an innocent child? Who does that to a baby?" Now, both of the Stouds must serve at least 70% or 35 years of their sentence until they're eligible for parole. How are these two jackals eligible for parole? How in the hell does this justice system work? No, we can't trust you. You were 67 when you discarded a baby and you were 29. I don't trust you when you're older. No. Now, the investigation that started this whole case began on March 8th, 2023, when Norwalk Police Department received a call from someone concerned about the safety of a child. Now, the next day, police discovered the newborn along a snowy road on the 5000 block of Delaware Street in Warren County. Now, investigators determined that Megan had given birth in late February 2023 and then left the baby in a box, ignoring his cries for 2 days. They allegedly then just discarded the baby on the side of the road while he was still living. Y'all, tiny baby Jesus, this is not a prayer I should be uttering, but if possible, could you see fit to send down Gen Pop Justice, allegedly in Minecraft, just saying for a friend, asking for a mo? I'm not saying, sometimes the Lord works in mysterious Gen Pop justice kind of ways, allegedly in Minecraft, not advocating it, just, sometimes these things happen. Now, a local CBS affiliate, KCCI, reported that even Megan's co-workers were not shocked. In fact, they were the ones that had raised concerns that day. They noted that she was no longer pregnant and were suspicious. Now, at least one neighbor was shocked but not surprised. Honestly, I was pretty appalled but not really surprised, just because of the vibe they gave, said a neighbor. They were kind of weird. Now, the report noted that the residence where Megan had given birth was considered unsafe to occupy. Investigators say that Rodney helped his daughter abandon the baby rather than bringing the baby to a safe haven, a fire station, anywhere. You can bring a baby in, they will ask you no questions, they will just make sure that baby is okay. In a previous phone interview with Law and Crime, Norwalk Police Chief Greg Staples said it was a difficult and emotional investigation. And I just like to pause here to say thank you for the investigators who gave this little boy the dignity that his own mother and grandfather didn't. And the fact that you carry this burden and his mom and grandpa don't is ridiculous. I know not all, hashtag there are bad cops. I get that. Look, there are douchebags everywhere, which is why I firmly hope that if the rapture is oncoming, it's an a-hole rapture, because I like the blowing up the asteroid thing. I think it would just help things around here. That being said, if you're the type of person that does pray, does keep people in your heart, puts good vibes out into the universe, we definitely need, these officers, these people that look up child grossness, that have to catch these monsters in human form. They carry all of that home and with them. And I couldn't imagine, So again, if you know someone that is struggling with an unplanned pregnancy, look up your locality, see if there are safe haven laws, let them know about it. Hopefully, we don't have to do another case like this. But bon voyage, douchebags, drop the soap. Now, this is just here because you're stupid. How many times have I told you, if you're gonna crime, we do not boast about our crimes. We do not show and tell our crimes. We do not write about our crimes. We do not, film our crimes. Pieces of body in different location. A man was busted for murder after showing off the decomposing remains to a buddy. Yeah, crime is stupid. South Carolina authorities have arrested a suspect in a case of a missing man whose remains were found last month. Now, John Lucas Dale Rice, 21, stands accused of murder in the death of Kevin Brookshire, who was 45 when he went missing in 2021. Now, Brookshire was last seen on December 15th, 2021 in Chesney, which is not far from Palmetto State, or the Palmetto State's border with North Carolina. He was supposedly drove his 2001 red Chevrolet S10 pickup with expired Tennessee license plates to Sevier County, Tennessee, some 160 miles northwest, but he never made it. Now, the pickup was involved in a traffic crash roughly 5 months after Brookshire's disappearance, but police do not believe that Brookshire was actually the driver in the truck at that time. Now, authorities failed to find any leads in the case until August. According to Greenville Fox affiliate WHNS, the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office contacted their counterparts in Cherokee County after receiving a tip about someone who claimed that Rice had shown them a decomposing body in a trash can at his home in Chesney. Now, investigators started talking to different witnesses and found out there were 3 different pieces of body, Mr. Brookshire's body, that had been found in different locations. Barry Barnett, 7th Circuit solicitor, told a judge during a probable cause hearing attended by WHNS. Now, cops went to the home and recovered the remains in August. Using x-rays and medical records, the coroner was able to identify the remains as Brookshire. Now, detectives spoke with Rice, who allegedly admitted to taking the life of Brookshire. Now, police have not divulged the cause of death, nor had they revealed any potential motive for the murder. Now, he was arrested on Friday and is being held without bond. So this is a case that is coming up. It looks like this is going to be a long one, a fairly long one. But, you know, for the family of Mr. Brookshire, this is probably not the answer you want. And I hope you are getting support to deal with this fresh wave of grief and reality that you are having to live with. Well, in a little bit of a palate cleanser, because I think we need one, we're going to do a puppy kitten break.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
Well, scientists have discovered tunnels of a possibly unknown ancient life form. Is the ancient aliens guy going to be right? Well, maybe on a micro level. For most organisms on Earth, rocks are objects, not food, but for one oddball microbe, desert limestone seems to have been on the menu. Whether or not this mysterious life form still exists or went extinct eons ago is still unknown, though. Recently, a geologist, C.C. Paschier from Johannes Gutenberg University, Mainz, came across what looked like teeny burrows in marble and limestone in the deserts of Namibia, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. Now, erosion had exposed the fossilized burrows, and while nothing was crawling there anymore, Paschier and his research team investigated further and found biological material inside. A biotic origin of the observed structures supposes the presence of liquid water, without which biological growth would be impossible. So it does look like there were microbes that used to burrow into desert limestone and granite at some time. Now, this is very early news. This does seem like it might possibly be cyanobacteria, or actually not likely to be cyanobacteria, as they need sunlight. So it does kind of seem like this is something that is going to be really looked at. They are not sure what exactly did that, but it looks like, you know, we might have had alien rock eaters, which is pretty cool. I don't understand the science behind it, but there you go. In a reminder, YouTube is a butthole, and it doesn't believe lurkers matter, but here at Moe's, everyone matters. So here's one for you, you lurkers. As an inside cat, I am totally a lurker most of the time, though I am trying to be better about that because YouTube is a-hole and has decided you guys don't count unless you count.
Snark loves a lurker. We see you all the same. Lurkers unite. You're the silent light. Watching in shadows, but still in the fight. No chat, no shame. You still boost the game. Snark loves a lurker. We see you all the same.
I love Sunyo. This is how Skynet is going to get me. Well, in our final story of the day, a Michigan corn maze reacts to Amon-Ra's St. Brown's viral headstand. Now, not knowing Amon-Ra, I don't know who this person is, but let's... Ooh, well, it's a huge... I mean, it is a huge thing. How did you do a headstand with no arms, though? Also, Mo would be lost for days. There is no way Mo is doing this on this green earth. Oh, recreates. Well, you know, I can't read. Why would I read? Reading is not fundamentally a part of my job. Now, I have never seen this headstand thing, so I don't know exactly what went on, but a Michigan farm has unveiled a 5-acre corn maze depicting Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra's St. Brown performing his viral headstand touchdown celebration. The Long Family Orchard and Farm in Commerce Township posted a video to social media showing the corn maze, which captures the moment from last year's game against the Green Bay Packers. I was actually at the game in Green Bay, so I got to see it firsthand, and I saw the whole thing go viral, said Bobby Long, 23, of Long Family Orchard and Farm. Long said he and his brother Will came up with the idea of immortalizing the headstand in a corn maze form in January and began to work on it in July. We do a special corn maze every year, and with the Lions being so awesome and with everything Amon-Ra has done for the city, our state, and our fans, we wanted to give something back for him to enjoy too. Fans are now being invited to attempt to find their way through the corn maze during the farm's public operation hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. I would be lost for days upon days. I am directionally challenged. I have no ability to tell my right from my left, even when doing this thing, because I am dyslexic, so they could both be L's to me. Which is why I'm glad I'm married, because then I know, like, oh, this is my left. Unless I put it on the wrong finger. I am, honest to God, not joking about this. In fact, Mr. Mo learned that I did directions like, you turn toward the driver's door or the passenger door. And he just decided to never let me be in charge of navigation. And I am A-okay with this. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stories today. You know, take some time, have some fun, play out in the rain if you're getting rain. Watch out for storms if you're getting storms in your area. I am heading over to Megan's. I am going to be sending you guys over there. We are continuing on with the Tim's case. It is a heartbreaking case, but Megan, Flux, and Jennifer and I try to make it bearable with, you know, cursey words and bingo. So go give it a try if you're wanting to watch, you know, something that really means something. You know, share, give voice to this family. What's going on in Georgia is not right. So, you know, and as always, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness does not equal doormat. Bye, you guys.